Hey guys, Jay Norton here once again, and I want to try making more videos about Japan and Japanese news and Japanese adjacent news, and I'm going to try and discuss some little things, give my perspectives, gives my ideas, and hopefully it will be thought-provoking, enjoyable, entertaining for you all. You might notice that this hoodie has no string here in the hood. Interestingly, it came like that. It came with no string in it. It's from Shimamura, because Shimamura sell big boy clothes up to 5L. And yeah, weirdly enough, it didn't come with any string. Anyway, so today's video is going to be about manga. More specifically, manga that has been pirated and is causing a lot of, I guess it's hard to say losses, because the manga was never bought in the first place and doesn't necessarily mean it could have been bought in the first place. So basically, I'm going to put like the article in the description of the video and just flash on the screen like parts of the article. I think the whole article will actually fit on the screen, but yeah, it's from Japan Today. The article name is Piracy of Japanese Manga Literature Causes 8.5 trillion yen loss a year. And what is it? 8.5 trillion yen works out to $55 billion. Now that sounds like quite a lot of money. I don't think there's really many industries that are worth 55 billion a year. Not necessarily worth 55 billion a year. That's a loss of 55 billion a year. That means it would be worth more. Value of video game. I'm going to do some research on the fly. Industry per year. See, if I was a, what's it called? Like a Reacts channel, I could flash this up on the screen. So the value of the video game industry was approximately 189 billion in 2025. Now, just the loss of 55 billion for just Japanese manga seems quite extreme, because manga is quite cheap. And I'm just going to go into a little bit of detail. So in the article, it talks about how basically people pirating the manga, whether it be the English version, the Japanese version, is causing a big headache for the industry. And it breaks down that I think the biggest country pirating was Indonesia, which makes sense because there's a lot of Indonesians in Japan, which means, I guess, a lot of interest in the country. Then second was Japanese, so a lot of Japanese people pirating manga, and then it breaks down to a lot of like Asian countries and stuff like that. And for me, it's kind of weird because pirating manga it doesn't feel like it should be a big deal. Of course it is a big deal, but when you're in Japan and you go to places like Book Off and stuff like that, you see like these big used manga books, like one-piece volumes for like 100 yen. So what really is the value of a manga? And it's quite funny because they talk about how pirating causes a loss to the industry, whereas reading, there is also like another way that there is a big loss to the manga industry, which Japan will never even bother trying to fix, which is Tachiomi. Or is it Tachiomi? Tachiomi, stand and read. So if you go to places like Book Off or even just regular bookstores, there will just be people reading the books in the bookstore. Like we have a thing with my family where if my daughter goes to the bookstore and reads like half a book, we will buy that book, because that's kind of like, that's basically pirating the book, is it not? If you stand in the bookstore and read the book, that's stealing the book in a way. You don't own the book, you've taken the contents of the book into your eyes. And in Japan, it's everywhere. I mean, if you go to Book Off, there's dozens of people just stood there for ages reading all the books. And Japan doesn't seem to care about that. So they don't worry, is it just because it's used manga? But also it happens in regular bookshops too. They have started adding tape to a lot of books nowadays to try and help that problem, but you still see a lot of it. And it's not just manga, it's also other books as well. So you might see tape on like popular books or like children's like ehon, like the picture books. But if you want to just buy like regular like study books, if you want to learn about ChatGPT and you see the book in the store, you can read it if you wanted to. To be honest, you could probably get away with taking pictures of all the pages because there's never any staff around. So hits for these websites received about 2.8 billion visits during the period from 123 countries and regions, totaling viewing time of 700 million hours. Now, the problem is that it says here, I think one of the biggest, like, shocks for me is that it says a 500 yen comic book can be read in 30 minutes. Now, I want to value the time that somebody has put into creating this manga. 500 yen for 30 minutes doesn't sound like the best value because, I guess it does work out because if you watch a movie, it's like 2 hours or an hour and a half and it's like 2,000 yen. But then you've literally got hundreds of people working on this movie, whereas a manga is probably a much smaller team. The graphic novels, the Marvel graphic novels I have there, they were around £10 each, but they are very colorful, very beautiful, very well drawn, whereas manga still is typically black and white. So for me, I would find it quite difficult to say, if I wanted to read manga for like 3 hours, that's like a 6,000 yen ordeal. And that doesn't sound like the most cost-effective way to have a hobby. And also the thing is with physical manga is that it just takes up so much space. Like my wife's brother's bedroom was just like all manga books, and they get old, they take up space, you can't really do much with them, you can't really sell them because they're not worth anything. Like if the book off is selling them for 100 yen, imagine how much the book off would give you for them. So the thing is, Japan needs to modernize, and I'm sure they do have some kind of subscription systems for reading manga. I used to subscribe to the Marvel, I can't remember what the name of the app was, but it was about $10 a month, and I could read unlimited Marvel comics, which was great because I could read it on my phone, I could read it on my iPad, and there was so much stuff on there. So I hope there is a lot of stuff like that for manga too. Unfortunately, everything's going to get pirated still, even to this day. Even with things like Netflix and Hulu, Disney Plus, those shows still get pulled and torrented and stuff. So piracy is always going to be a problem. But I think Japan has to find a way to make it more accessible to people around the world. If they don't want it to be if they don't want it to be pirated, okay, finishing a 500 yen comic book in 30 minutes sounds, maybe that's a good value for having the physical item as well. But if I'm going to buy it on my phone, 500 yen for a 30-minute read seems like absolute nonsense. And if you're in a country like Vietnam or Indonesia where the currency would make it much more expensive, like 500 yen in Vietnam or Indonesia weighs a lot more. They obviously can't afford that, so you would have to price adjust the manga to fit them. And then if it's translated into English, it's actually going to cost more because of the extra work going into it. But actually someone can just pirate the Japanese version and fan translate it. I think they have to really rework the industry and think about how the industry works if they really want to. And again, it says a 55 billion yen loss, but there's no promise that if it was suddenly unable to be pirated, they wouldn't necessarily buy the manga anyway. And if they wanted to really think about increasing the profits of the manga industry, well, maybe we've got to think about Tachiomi in bookstores. We've got to think about trying to change the second-hand market, because if I can buy like 10 volumes of One Piece for like 1,000 yen in book off, but then on Amazon, if I wanted to buy them brand new, it'd be 5,000 yen. I'm never going to buy them new. It doesn't make sense. I'm just going to read them in 30 minutes, leave it on the shelf. It doesn't seem like a very cost-effective hobby, to be honest with you. At least with video games, like you can play them and replay them and replay them and kind of get a lot of, dopamine hits, a lot of adrenaline, get trophies, get achievements, play with friends. But, and also with books, you can also, books take a lot longer to read. Like if you're reading like a proper novel, it takes dozens of hours to read sometimes. So it doesn't feel like the most cost-effective system. I'm going to read through some of the comments on the article. There's a comment here that says, this is a rough calculation. Buying a second-hand manga at 100 yen or reading it on the place or a public library also means a loss. Exactly what I was saying. Indeed, manga and anime wouldn't be as popular as without the early days of piracy, which is also a good point as well to say piracy could also mean payment in the future. If piracy is their way to get into the hobby, they could actually convert in the future to buy things, merchandise and stuff like that. That kind of makes sense, but unfortunately it is illegal to steal, so you would have to be doing something illegal in the first place. Piracy exists for a reason, and that reason is piracy offers a better service. Well, I mean, I guess if the service is free, I mean, that would be a better service. Piracy is back and it's here to stay unless media merchants step up their game again and offer a better service than piracy and make piracy irrelevant. That's just impossible to do. And then send pirates to jails as another person. I mean, I guess they already do try and catch people. Again, at the end of the day, like these companies are probably making money in the first place. So sorry that these companies don't get another $55 billion because I'm sure they are not giving it to the manga creators. I'm sure the companies are taking that money. That's capitalism. That's the world that it is. But yeah, thank you all for watching and I will see you again next time. Bye.